Welcome to another video called What's Flowering Inside My Indoor Garden. In this video, I will show you what was flowering in the month of December and January, now 2023. This month is pretty exciting because I have, I think, around 17 flowers in bloom to show you. So I hope you have a hot beverage with you, maybe tea or a coffee, because this video will be a long one. Without further ado, let's start this video. The first plant that I have here is my Dendrobium Berry Oda. The Berry Oda is a primary hybrid and produces a cluster of tiny small purple flowers. This plant needs a winter rest to be able to bloom. It's the first time that I have this plant in bloom, but it's been under my care for around 2 years. What I love about these flowers is how beautiful the petals are. In my opinion, they look like they have been water painted because of the contrast, so how the purple pinkish starts to dissolve into the white. More than that, I have a full video about this plant and about dendrobiums and dendrobium care. I will link it down below for you. The next orchid here is the famous and iconic chocolate orchid Oncidium Sharry Baby. Again, it produces a cluster of miniature red flowers. And there are so many flowers, and the name of the plant, why people call it chocolate orchid, it's not because of the shape of the flowers, but mainly because of the fragrance. Some people say that remind them of chocolate fragrance. In my opinion, it's much more towards vanilla and hot chocolate, honey, than pure chocolate, but the fragrance is very strong, and the flowers, all of them together, it's definitely beautiful. So if you want to have an iconic plant inside your home, this one could be a beautiful option for you. Again, I also created a full video tutorial where I talk a little bit more about this plant and walk you through its care and culture. I'll link it down below. The next plant, it's a yellow beauty. I love this one so much. It's called Rhynchostylis. This plant is such a reliable bloomer. It blooms for me at least twice a year. And there is a difference between its blooms when it blooms in winter and when it's summertime. In winter, I usually have larger flowers. And when it's summer, it produces more flowers, but the flowers are much smaller in size. What I love about these flowers is that it reminds me of a tiger. For me, it has a tiger pattern to it. It doesn't have any fragrance, but the flowers are super large and produce a immense, super long flower spike. The disadvantage it is because it is a massive plant, so you need to have space for it. But if you do, I am sure you will love and enjoy the flowers because they are beautiful, gorgeous, and on top of that, I think it's a pretty easy plant to look after as well. The next one, it is a miniature one to contrast with the last plant that I've showed you. It is a Tolumnia. If you follow me here, you know that I love Tolumnias. I had this one in bloom for the last, maybe since beginning of December until now. The flowers are fading now. So it's called Tolumnia Jairak Rainbow. Although it's called Jairak Rainbow, the flowers are pretty red. there are no other colors. It's red with red. So I think some of the petals have a brighter red color and the leaf like a darker burgundy tone of red. The flowers they don't have any fragrance, but nonetheless, it's beautiful because you have a cluster of red, pretty like red flowers, and they fit anywhere. They are tiny and cute. So if that's your cup of tea, you should definitely add one Tolumnia to your collection. I hope I have more this year, at least more in bloom that I can show you. But this month I had only one. But I think it's so cute. And again, I've also created a video where I show you my collection of Tolumnias, I think last month, and I will link it down below. Talking about plants that I've created a video because I had so many news in the past 2 months. It's the Rhynchostylis gigantea. So this one is a vandaceous type of orchid, and it's also known as the foxtail orchid because people look at this cluster of flowers and some people think it reminds them of a tail of a fox. What do you think? So mine is the variety, I think it's one of the most common varieties. I found it in a local garden center. Oh, you see, it is possible. And the flowers are white with purple, so it has many dots, many purple dots in the petals. And it has a very exquisite fragrance. I don't know if it's everyone's cup of tea. It can be pretty powerful if you keep the plant very close to you. But if it's further away, you won't notice in the environment. I have fragrance sensitivity, and for me, it's super okay. More than that, it's beautiful, gorgeous. The plant is not a tiny one or a miniature, but it's not a massive vanda as well. So goes more towards the medium size, which is perfect because I know that not everybody can have a super large vanda inside their homes. So this one I think is more versatile in this sense. And as I've already mentioned, I have a whole video about the Rhynchostylis gigantea where I show my plant and I talk about its care and culture. If you're curious, you can definitely check it down below. Now, the only cattleya that I had in bloom this month, and it was a surprise because I wasn't expecting it to bloom so soon. This cattleya is a no ID. If for any reason you know the ID of any of these plants that I'm showing here, you can leave a comment down below. I bought that, I believe, in the beginning of last year, and was the haul that I told you that someone was offering some plants on Facebook. And I have it here, one video where I say the tragic haul or something, or learn how to say no. Because the guy showed me their plants that they were in a pretty bad state, full of pests, almost dying, and he charged a small fortune for these plants. Anyway, this one was the big cattleya there, and I treated, repotted, and it's not exactly the most healthy plant yet. It is in a pretty bright spot, receiving water, fertilizer, everything that it needs to grow, and it decided to push through one flower. That it is fragrant, but I cannot exactly describe its fragrance just yet. But the flower is beautiful, but I am sure I will have better flowers when it decides to bloom again. This time around, the flower had some marks in its petals. I don't know if it's because it's very cold or if that's caused by thrips or what happened to, if it's cold damage or if it's pest damage. I have no idea, but I don't know if you can see with this filming as well. When it opened, I was a little bit sad that I could see all these markings like grazing on the petals. But more than that, I want to show you because again, I had one cattleya last month and I have a cattleya this month. So I'm getting better with them, which is pretty successful. Pretty successful from my point of view since I didn't have much luck before with them. The next one is my beautiful Prosthechea vitellina. I've showed you last year this plant in bloom. It's definitely one of my favorite orchids. I have already mentioned that so many times. And this year around I have 2 flower spikes with many small orange flowers. They are just so vibrant and definitely brighten my heart when I look at them. They make my environment, I don't know, warmer. So it has no fragrance, but it's gorgeous. The leaves, they are not so vibrant. They have a different shade of green to it that I adore. And it blooms once a year. Every winter it will produce its buds and will bloom. And the flowers, they last for like 2 to 3 months. So if you wanna have bright orange flowers for a long time, the Prosthechea vitellina may be an option for you. The next one is another beauty, one plant that I adore so much. Sorry, this video will be full of them. I think I was pretty lucky. Winter was my season. It wasn't spring, it was winter. If I compare 2022 to beginning of 2023. I have here the beautiful Paphiopedilum delenatii or delenatii. This one is a species and it's supposed to be fragrant. Many people buy it because if you want to have a Paphiopedilum that has some rose fragrance, you should buy one of them. However, not all of them are fragrant, and I wasn't very lucky, so mine isn't. I noticed last time when it bloomed for me that it wasn't fragrant, but nonetheless, I love its flowers. I know they are pretty simple. They are pink. If you look at the pouch, you're gonna see the pouch is full of dots, like dark pink dots, and they have like a yellow center. They are not so complex. I think there are other Paphiopedilums with more complex flowers in a way, with different patterns and colors. But I love it. I love the leaves, the mottling on its leaves with all of its pattern, you know, the squares. The hairy spike. So for me, it's a very deary Paphiopedilum. And I want to show you because this year I have 2 flowers. So I'm very happy and I think my plant's happy as well. The next one is another surprise because I was not expecting to have a novelty Phalaenopsis in bloom during winter. So I have here the Phalaenopsis Penang that produced 2 flower spikes and 2 flowers for me in the middle of winter. This plant is blooming since December. And the Penang is a cross between the Violacea and the Venosa. What I can tell you about this plant is that mine is pretty red. I know that there are other varieties. So mine has this red tint to its petals. And you can see on the lip is like a dark purple with white. It is a fragrant Phalaenopsis, but it's very different from the Bellina. The fragrance probably is closer to the Violacea. I've never had Violacea, but I had other hybrids of the Violacea. And the fragrance is similar. It's like a spicy type of fragrance. The flowers are waxy, and you can see that the leaves, they are pretty shiny as well, which it's similar to it's very close to a lot of other Phalaenopsis inside its group. But I'm so happy to have it in bloom now, while all of my other Phalaenopsis are not in bloom, only the hybrids and the ones that bloom during the winter time. At least the Polychilus, I'm not expecting to see them now, and this one is in bloom. The next one, talking about amazing surprises, I have here my Phalaenopsis schilleriana. For me, it is the best that I could expect for in December, because this one is a very young plant. I think I acquired it in 2022 as a baby, so I was definitely not expecting it to grow so fast and to be able to bloom this winter. It put out the first flower spike, and this time around I have 6 flowers. They have a very beautiful tone of pink, and they are fragrant. They have a very floral, like fresh type of fragrance. It's the kind of fragrance that I adore, that don't make me sick, and that can outstand even if it's close to me. And I found these flowers gorgeous, wonderful. I don't know how to explain. And on top of that is one of the orchids with the most beautiful foliage that I have. So this one is definitely on the top of my list as one of my favorite orchids. And I have a whole video about the Phalaenopsis schilleriana. You can also see it down below. Talking about mottled leaves, the next one is the Phal Diffusion. It's a hybrid, may have some schilleriana in its parents, I don't know. It's a very complex hybrid that I found in a local supermarket. I love the leaves of these Phalaenopsis. From my hybrids, I think it's one of the most beautiful leaves. And on top of that, the flowers are very close to a red tone. It's between a dark pink and a red tone. Produce a large cluster of flowers. I have 2 flower spikes this turn, and also have a beautiful fragrance. It's the type of floral fragrance that you can feel in many Phalaenopsis. The advantage of this plant is that you can find it everywhere. I found it in a local supermarket, and I do believe the schilleriana is one of its parents. And I love this plant so much. I have another hybrid that is very similar to this one, and is the next flower on my list. So basically you can collect these hybrids and you can look for Phalaenopsis that has some mottling in its leaves, and maybe you will get one of them in a local supermarket or local flower shop. I don't think they are expensive, at least not in Europe, and they are pretty affordable and beautiful as well. The next one, it's very similar to the one that I've just showed you. It's called Phalaenopsis Odorion. Again, it has mottled leaves, and the difference between this one and the other one is that this one produces larger leaves but smaller flowers, and a ton of flower spikes with so many tiny flowers. The flowers are pink, and the lips also pink with white. And it has the same type of fragrance from the other Phalaenopsis that I showed you. It's like a floral tone or undertone. The thing with this plant is that one of the spikes came between the leaves, and all the flowers are a little bit distorted, and because the buds were basically looking everywhere, I didn't have a nice spot to place it. So I don't have the most beautiful spikes, but it produced many flowers. So I'm happy with that. The next plant, it's the one with, I think, the least amount of flowers from my Phalaenopsis. This Phalaenopsis has never done amazingly for me. I don't have its ID. It is the old one in my care at the right moment that I still have the mother plant. The petals are a mix of maybe an orange with yellow that gives you this vibe of a almost red color. And you can see some orange and yellow around the border of the petals. I do like the flowers. It's the size of this Phalaenopsis more is between a small and a medium-sized one. I don't have its ID. The problem is it's producing some area roots, but it has been sick, I think, since I bought it. It produced a cakey. I have the cakey. It rebloomed for me, but I can see that it's a little bit dehydrated, and because of that, the plant's not amazingly healthy, so the bloom show, which won't be the best one. Hopefully next year I will have a healthier plant. I hope you're enjoying so many Phalaenopsis, because now we still have a few to go, and I have some others that I will show you next month that are blooming already, but they are not in full bloom. So these ones I will hold them a little bit more, and we'll have so many more beautiful Phalaenopsis next month. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, because it helps me a lot. So let's continue diving some more Phalaenopsis bloom, because now it's their season and I am in love. My bedroom is full of flowers, my living room as well, and I think they put a great show. The next one, it is a cakey. So this tiny Phalaenopsis here, it's a miniature Phalaenopsis, and it would be the last, this would be the oldest one in my care. My husband gave it to me when I came back to London many years ago, and I lost the mother plant last year to thrips. Thrips attacked its crown, and it pushed through a cakey when it was in a survival mode. The cake survived, and in just 1 year it became a mature plant and decided to bloom for me. I wasn't expecting it. So again, it's not the most beautiful show because it's a pretty young plant, but I had to show you. And I find these flowers so beautiful. I know that they are purple, and there are so many purple Phalaenopsis out there, but I love the contrast of the purple with white and the pattern that you see on these flowers when you have the white border with all of these intricate drawings around the flower. So this one is one of my favorite hybrids as well. I don't have its ID, but I do love it so much. It carries some sentimental value. The next one is still a purple one. So this one I bought somewhere, maybe in a garden center. I don't know, it's another No ID. It's a pretty common one. What I like about these Phalaenopsis is that they're very tiny and compact. I think it's the smaller one that I have, so it doesn't fulfill the whole space or your whole shelving. You can keep it almost everywhere. And it produces a cluster of purple Phalaenopsis. It's just purple with purple everywhere, but it's very cute and tiny. And again, it's a No ID. The next one is a white Phalaenopsis. So this one I have a story to tell you very briefly. In 2021, I rescued 4 Phalaenopsis from one of the supermarkets. They were very dehydrated, almost dying, so they were in the discounted section. I have paid, I think, 50p, prepare each one of them. I decided to hydrate them and save all of these 4 Phalaenopsis. They look like they were small to medium-sized Phalaenopsis, and I didn't know if I had them or not. I hoped that I didn't, and I don't think I had. Yeah, none of them were one that I have or I had before. This one was the last one to bloom, and I was so happy that it's white because I don't have any white Phalaenopsis. And since this one is one that I saved, it does warm my heart to see it full of blooms for the first time. I don't know if that's the soft cloud or any other variety of miniature white Phalaenopsis. I don't know, the white clouds, at least from the pictures that I saw, the flowers were a little bit different in shape, but maybe my plant is still, this one is not the healthiest of all, so I don't know if the flowers are gonna all be like that. You can see that the shape is a little bit, I don't know, they're a little bit distorted or some sort of distortion. But I love to see this cloud of white flowers. I find them elegant and beautiful. Next, and the last one. Finally, I knew this video would be a long one. So I have here one yellow Phalaenopsis, and again, it's fragrant. It has that floral fragrance that I mentioned before. I found that the fragrance of these Phalaenopsis, they are pretty similar. This one though, it's a little bit different from the other ones. It's a larger plant in terms of leaves. It's the one that I reported that I said that had a long neck. It's doing pretty well. It produced 2 flower spikes. They are yellow, but it's that kind of yellow that's like a lime yellow toward green. And the flowers, they are waxy, which reminds me a little bit of the Polychilus type of orchid. However, it only blooms when the temperature dropped. So I do imagine it's a very complex hybrid. It's a No ID again. The lip is a little bit darker than the rest of the flower, and the flower spike grew upwards, which was very interesting. It's not something that would go pendant, not that I can think of. And also the leaves, they are shinier than most of the complex hybrids that we find in supermarket. But yeah, more than that, I think it's one of that colibris hybrids. The flowers, I love them because the fragrance is very, very special and they warm my heart. I don't think it's the most beautiful tone of yellow. It's not the warm tone of yellow. There are some Phalaenopsis that are more towards the warmer tones. But even so, I really like this Phalaenopsis because it's very different from the others that I have. And with this one, I will conclude my video today. I hope you have enjoyed the beautiful bloom show that I had these last 2 months. And I will make sure that I will produce another video full of Phalaenopsis again. And some other surprises that I will have between the months of February and March. Stay tuned, and if you enjoy my videos, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. And I hope to see you soon. Bye bye! Yeah.